My best friend didn't just betray me. She stole my husband, but what she didn't know was I had been preparing for this moment. My name is Elena. I'm 32 years old, and until recently, I truly believed I had a perfect life. Not the kind you see online. Not perfect in a loud, flashy way, but quiet, stable, safe. The kind of life where you wake up every morning feeling certain about the person lying next to you. That was my life. Or at least, that's what I thought. I met my husband Daniel 7 years ago. It started with a simple conversation at a small cafe. Nothing special, nothing dramatic, but with him, everything felt easy. One conversation turned into hours. Hours turned into late night calls. And before I knew it, he became part of my everyday life. Daniel wasn't perfect, but he made me feel seen. He remembered the small things. How I take my coffee, what I do when I'm stressed, the little details no one else noticed. And somehow, that was enough. When he asked me to marry him, I didn't hesitate, because I trusted him completely. And then there was Sophie, my best friend. She had been with me long before Daniel ever existed in my world. Through heartbreaks, through failures, through the moments I felt like I wasn't enough, she was the one who stayed. She wasn't just a friend, she was family. When I introduced her to Daniel, I felt nothing but happiness. The two people I loved the most, finally meeting each other. And at first, everything felt right. They got along instantly, laughing at the same jokes, talking like they had known each other for years. "You're lucky," Sophie told me that night. "He's perfect for you." I smiled. I believed her. After that, she became part of our routine. Weekend dinners, movie nights, unexpected visits that I never questioned. Daniel didn't mind. In fact, sometimes it felt like he enjoyed it. And I told myself that was normal. Because why would I ever doubt the two people I trusted the most? But looking back now, the signs were already there. Small changes, almost invisible. The kind you don't notice unless you're really paying attention. Until one night, for the first time, I felt it. That quiet, uncomfortable weight in my chest. The kind that doesn't scream, it whispers. Something wasn't right. And no matter how hard I tried to ignore it, it didn't go away. The feeling didn't disappear the next day. If anything, it grew stronger. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Just stress. Just overthinking. But the problem with that kind of feeling is, it doesn't leave quietly. It lingers. It started with small things. Subtle changes that didn't seem important on their own. But together, they began to form a pattern. He started coming home later than usual, not too late. Just enough to feel different. There was always an explanation. Work, traffic, meetings that ran longer than expected. And every reason made sense. That's what made it harder to question. Then there was the phone. He used to leave it anywhere. On the table, on the couch, right next to me. But now, it was always with him. Always turned slightly away. Always locked. I noticed it, but I said nothing. Because I didn't want to be that person. The one who doubts. The one who suspects. And then, there was her. Sophie. She still came over like she always did. Still laughed the same way. Still acted like nothing had changed. But something had. I just couldn't explain it yet. There were moments, small quiet moments, that didn't feel right. The way their conversations would suddenly stop when I walked into the room. The way they would glance at each other, just for a second too long. The kind of look you wouldn't notice, unless you were looking for it. One evening, she came over unannounced. That wasn't unusual. But what felt strange was how comfortable everything seemed. Too comfortable, like I had walked into something that was already in motion. We sat together in the living room, talking, laughing, pretending everything was normal. But I felt it again. That quiet tension, that invisible line I couldn't see, but somehow felt. At one point, I stood up to get a glass of water. And when I came back, they didn't notice me right away. They were sitting closer than usual. Not touching, but close enough to make something inside me shift. Then suddenly, they moved apart. Too quickly, too naturally, like it meant nothing. "Everything okay?" she asked, smiling. I nodded. "Yeah, just tired." But I wasn't tired. I was aware. More aware than I had ever been before. That night, after she left, the house felt different. Quieter. He went to take a shower, leaving his phone on the table. For a moment, I just stared at it, my heart beating faster than it should. I told myself not to touch it, that I was overthinking, that there was nothing to find. But that feeling, that whisper in my chest, was getting louder. I reached for the phone, stopped, pulled my hand back, and then I asked myself something I had been avoiding all this time. What if I'm right? I didn't open it. Not yet. But in that moment, something inside me changed. Because for the first time, I wasn't trying to ignore the truth anymore. I was getting ready to face it. I didn't sleep well that night, not because something had happened, but because something almost did. That question kept repeating in my head. What if I'm right? The next morning, everything felt normal. Too normal. He acted the same. Calm, relaxed, unbothered, as if nothing had changed. As if I hadn't spent the entire night questioning everything. And that was the moment I realized something. If something was really going on, then it wasn't new. It had been happening long enough for it to feel normal to him. The thought made my chest tighten. But this time, I didn't push it away. Later that afternoon, I found myself alone at home. The silence felt heavier than usual, like the house itself was waiting for something. That's when I saw it. His phone, lying on the table, unlocked. I froze. My heart started racing instantly. This was it. The moment I had been avoiding. For a few seconds, I just stood there, staring at it, telling myself to walk away, to respect the trust I believed we had. But then another thought came in. What trust? Slowly, I picked it up. My hands felt colder than usual. I didn't even know what I was looking for. A message, a name, a sign, anything. At first, there was nothing. Just normal conversations, work messages, notifications. Everything looked clean, too clean. Then I saw it. A chat that wasn't there before. No name, just a blank contact. My fingers hesitated for a second before I opened it. The messages weren't long, but they didn't need to be. Did she notice anything? My breath stopped. A reply came right after. No, she still trusts us. Us. I felt something inside me drop, like the ground beneath me had disappeared. My hands started shaking as I scrolled. Tonight, same place, don't be late. That was it. Short, simple, but enough to destroy everything. I stared at the screen, trying to process what I was seeing, trying to convince myself there was another explanation, another meaning, something that made sense. But there wasn't. I didn't need more messages. I didn't need more proof. Because deep down, I already knew. Slowly, I locked the phone and put it back exactly where I found it. Like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just seen the truth. My heart was still racing, but my face was calm. Because in that moment, I understood something important. The person I thought I knew was lying to me. And the person behind that message was someone I trusted. I didn't cry. Not yet. Because this wasn't the end of the story. This was just the beginning. I didn't say anything that night. I acted normal. Calm, quiet, careful, as if I hadn't seen the messages. As if nothing had changed. But everything had. Dinner felt different. The silence between us wasn't comfortable anymore. It felt heavy, like there were words we were both avoiding. Are you okay? He asked. I looked at him and forced a small smile. Yeah, just tired. He nodded, and that was it. No questions. No concern. That hurt more than anything. Because in that moment, I realized something. He wasn't worried about me. He was worried about getting caught. Later that night, he told me he had to go out. Work, he said. Something urgent. I nodded again. No questions. No reaction. But this time, I was ready. I waited. 10 minutes. Just enough time for him to leave. Then I grabbed my keys and followed him. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from the truth I already knew. His car didn't go toward his office. It went somewhere else. A place I didn't recognize. A quiet street. Dim lights. Almost empty. I parked at a distance, my heart pounding so loud, I could hear it in my ears. And then, I saw her, standing there, waiting. Sophie. For a second, I couldn't breathe. She looked around, then smiled. Not the kind of smile she gave me. This one was different. Softer. Warmer. More real. And then, he walked toward her. No hesitation. No distance. He pulled her closer, and she didn't stop him. They didn't look guilty. They didn't look afraid. They looked comfortable, like this wasn't new, like this had been happening for a long time. I sat there, watching everything, every laugh, every look, every moment that was never meant for me. And then, it happened. He kissed her, not quick, not unsure, but like he meant it, like he had done it before. Something inside me broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, the kind of break you don't feel right away. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't move. I didn't stop them. I didn't confront them. I just watched, because now there was no doubt left. No confusion. No maybe, only the truth. The two people I trusted the most had chosen each other over me. And in that moment, I realized something else. This wasn't a mistake. This was a decision, a choice. And they made it again and again, behind my back. I wiped my tears slowly, took a deep breath, and for the first time that night, I smiled. Not because I was okay, but because now I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't confront them that night. I didn't scream. I didn't cry in front of them. I just went home. The house felt different, empty, cold. For the first time, it didn't feel like home. I sat on the couch in silence, still, trying to process everything I had just seen. Hours passed. I didn't move. When the door finally opened, I heard his footsteps, calm, normal, like nothing had happened. "Hey," he said softly, "I'm back." I didn't answer right away. I turned slowly and looked at him. For a moment, our eyes met, and I wondered how long he had been lying to me. "You're still awake?" he asked. I nodded. Yeah, that was it. No questions. No confrontation. Because I wasn't ready. Not yet. That night, I lay beside him in silence, listening to his breathing. Steady, peaceful. While my world was falling apart, I didn't sleep. I just stared into the darkness, replaying everything in my head. Every moment, every sign I ignored, every lie I believed. And slowly, the pain started to settle in. Not sharp, not loud, but heavy. Like something pressing against my chest, making it hard to breathe. The next morning, everything continued like normal. Breakfast, small talk, routine. He smiled. He acted the same. And somehow, that hurt even more. Because it meant one thing. He was used to this. Used to lying. Used to pretending. Used to living a life that didn't include me anymore. That day, I felt like a stranger in my own life. Every corner of the house felt unfamiliar. Every memory felt like a lie. But beneath all the pain, something else started to grow. Something quiet. Something controlled. Clarity, because now I wasn't confused anymore. I knew the truth. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. I stood in front of the mirror that evening, looking at myself, tired, broken, but not weak. Not anymore. Because deep down, there was something they didn't know. Something I had kept hidden. Something I never thought I would need. But now, everything was different. And for the first time, I started thinking, not about what I lost, but about what I could do next. For days, I said nothing. I watched. I listened. I paid attention. And the more I observed, the clearer everything became. The late nights, the hidden messages, the quiet distance between us, it was all real. But what they didn't know was that I had already started preparing, long before that night. Because the truth is, this wasn't the first time I felt something was wrong. Months ago, I noticed small changes. Nothing obvious, nothing I could prove, but enough to make me question things. And instead of confronting him, I made a different choice. I stayed quiet, and I started protecting myself. Slowly, carefully. I separated things. Money, accounts, documents, everything that mattered. At the time, I told myself I was just being cautious, just in case. But now, I understood why I did it. Because deep down, I already knew that instinct, that quiet voice inside me, was never wrong. One evening, while he was in the shower, his phone lit up again. This time, I didn't hesitate. I picked it up, unlocked it, and opened the same conversation. New messages. Does she suspect anything? My chest tightened. The reply came quickly. No, she's clueless. Clueless. I stared at that word. Not angry, not crying, just focused. Because now, I wasn't reacting anymore. I was thinking, planning. If they believed I knew nothing, then that was my advantage, and I was going to use it. I put the phone back down, exactly where it was. Then I sat in silence for a long moment, breathing slowly, letting everything settle. Because this wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was a game, and they thought they were winning. But they had no idea. I had already changed the rules. That night, I looked at him differently. Not with love, not with trust, but with clarity. Because now, I finally saw him for who he really was. And more importantly, I knew exactly what I had to do next. I didn't rush. I didn't explode. Because revenge is never about speed. It's about timing. And I was going to do this right. The next few days, I became someone else. Calmer, softer, easier to trust. I smiled more. I asked fewer questions. I became exactly who they thought I was, clueless, and they believed it. That was the easiest part. Sophie still came over, still laughed like nothing had changed, and this time, I played along. I laughed too. I listened. I watched her closely. The way she looked at him when she thought I wasn't paying attention. The way he avoided looking at me when she was around. It was all there, clear, obvious. But I said nothing, because the truth is, I didn't need more proof. I needed the right moment. And then, it came. One evening, she invited me out. Just us, she said. Like old times. I smiled. Agreed. Because I already knew this wasn't just a random invitation. We met at a quiet place. Soft lights. Low music. She looked relaxed. Comfortable. Too comfortable. We talked about everything. Old memories. Random stories. And then, she brought him up. "You're lucky," she said again. The same words. But this time, they sounded different. I tilted my head slightly. Smiled. "Am I?" I asked softly. She hesitated. Just for a second. And that was enough. Because in that moment, I saw it clearly. Not guilt, but confidence. She thought she had already won. That I was still blind. That I would never find out. And that's when I decided to take the first step. I leaned forward slightly, lowered my voice, and said something that made her freeze. I know. Silence. Her smile disappeared instantly. Her eyes searched my face, trying to understand. I know about you and him. Her breathing changed. Subtle, but noticeable. For the first time, she looked nervous. "What are you talking about?" she said quickly. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her, calm, steady. Then I smiled. Not the same smile as before. This one was different. Because now, I wasn't the one being lied to anymore. I was the one in control. And she could feel it. But what she didn't know was that this was only the beginning. She stared at me, completely frozen. For the first time, she didn't have anything to say. "No," she whispered. "You're wrong." I smiled. Calm, steady. "Am I?" I asked softly. Her hands tightened around the table. Her eyes kept searching mine, looking for doubt. But she didn't find any. Because there wasn't any. "I saw you," I continued. That night, silence fell between us. Heavy, unavoidable. Her expression changed. Not into guilt, but into something else. Fear. And that's when I knew. I had her. "You don't understand," she said quickly. "It's not what you think." I raised my hand slightly, stopping her. "No," I said quietly. "I understand everything." Another pause. Then I leaned closer. "And he's not the only one who's been lying." Her eyes widened. Confusion. That was new. "What do you mean?" she asked. I sat back slowly, took a breath. "This whole time, you thought I didn't know anything." She didn't respond. But the truth is, I looked straight into her eyes. "I've known for a long time." Her face went pale. "Months ago," I continued, "I started seeing the signs. The late nights, the distance, the way things changed. And instead of confronting you, I smiled again. I prepared." Silence. "You prepared?" she repeated. I nodded slowly. I separated everything. Money, accounts, documents. Everything that mattered. Her breathing became uneven. "And here's the part you didn't expect." I leaned forward slightly. "He signed everything himself." Her eyes widened in shock. "He trusted me," I said calmly. "He didn't even read the details." And now, I paused, letting it sink in. "He has nothing." The silence after that was deafening. "And you?" I added softly. "You didn't just take my husband. You chose someone who has nothing left to give you." Her lips parted, but no words came out. For the first time, she looked completely lost, broken, just like I was not long ago. I stood up slowly. "This was never about revenge," I said. "It was about truth. And now you have it." I turned around and walked away. Not fast, not angry, just done. Because in the end, they didn't destroy me. They revealed themselves. And sometimes, that's the only victory you need. Everything started to shift. After that night, after I told her, I know, she didn't come over as often anymore. The messages between them became shorter, more careful. And him, he started watching me, not with love, not with warmth, but with suspicion, like something didn't feel right. And he was right, because the balance had changed. They were no longer in control. I was. One evening, he finally asked. Is something going on with you? I looked at him, calm, unbothered. What do you mean? I asked. He hesitated. You've been different. I smiled slightly. Maybe I'm just tired. Silence. He didn't believe me. I could see it, but he had no proof. And that made him uncomfortable. Good, because for the first time, he was the one questioning reality, not me. A few days later, she showed up again, unexpected. But this time, she wasn't relaxed. Her eyes moved quickly, avoiding mine. I needed to see you, she said. I nodded slowly. Of course, I replied. We sat down. The silence between us was no longer friendly. It was sharp, careful, controlled. About the other night, she started. I didn't let her finish. You should be careful, I said quietly. She froze. With what? She asked. I leaned back, watching her closely. With lies, I said. They don't last forever. Her breathing changed again. You're overthinking, she said quickly. I smiled. No, I replied softly. I'm just paying attention now. Silence. Heavy, uncomfortable. She stood up shortly after that. I should go, she said. I nodded. Yeah, I replied. You should. And just like that, she left. But this time, she didn't look confident. She looked scared. That night, everything became clear. They weren't just hiding anymore. They were panicking. And panic leads to mistakes. Exactly what I was waiting for. Because the truth is, I didn't need to chase them anymore. I didn't need to search for answers. All I had to do was wait and let them destroy themselves. I stood by the window that night, looking outside, calm, still, because I knew we were getting close to the end. And when it came, I wouldn't hold back. Not this time. It came quietly, just like everything else. That night, they made a mistake. A small one, but enough. He left his phone on the table again, unlocked, careless. I picked it up, calm, steady, a new message. Tomorrow, we tell her everything. I smiled. So this was it. Their plan, their version of the truth, but they were too late because I had already written the ending. The next day, I prepared everything. Documents, accounts, proof, every piece of truth they thought I didn't have. I didn't rush. I took my time because this moment had to be perfect. That evening, we were all in the same room. Me, him, and her, just like before, but nothing was the same. The air felt heavy, tense, unavoidable. I need to tell you something, he said. I looked at him, calm. I know, I replied. Silence. Confusion crossed their faces. What? She asked. I stood up slowly. No more lies, I said. Then I placed everything on the table. The documents. The silence that followed was louder than anything. What is this? He asked. I looked at him. This, I said softly, is the truth you ignored. He picked up the papers. His hand started to shake. You signed everything, I continued. Every transfer, every account change. You just didn't read. Her face turned pale. What is she talking about? She whispered. I looked at her. He has nothing, I said calmly. Everything is gone. Silence. Heavy, crushing. That's not possible, he said quickly. I tilted my head slightly. But it is. You trusted me, I continued, and I protected myself. Their world started falling apart, right in front of me. You planned this? She asked. I paused. Then I gave her a small smile. No, I said. I survived this. Another silence. This one, final. You didn't just betray me, I continued. You underestimated me. I took a step back, looking at both of them, broken, confused, just like I was not long ago. But now, it was different, because I wasn't the one losing anymore. They were. I picked up my bag, walked past them, and didn't look back. Because some endings don't need closure, they just need truth, and I already had mine.